All right, it's Bob Ross from Bob Ross Down Under, and I get some help from my friend Christopher Isherwood. We want to talk to you about people who are too sexy for their own good. What does it mean? Well, if you're too sexy for your own good, uh, how can you be too sexy for your own good? You're too attractive. You're too attractive, okay? So if you're too attractive, it means you're getting too much attention. Is that a bad thing? Some people say, in the past I never got any attention, and now I'm getting attention. I just love it. It's going to be very hard to dissuade people from being, too sexy or something, because it's a big thrill. Your ego loves to be, the hot tamale. You walk in the room and everyone goes, look at that. And they run over and fawn on you and let me buy you a drink. Or come over here and tell me all about yourself. Oh, you smell wonderful. What's going on? What I would say is you got a chakra imbalance. Your chakras, your lower chakras are firing down here, right down here. I could do a crotch grab. And what's happening? You're not getting good balance in your chakras. You've got a heavy sexual vibe. And everyone else who is not balanced, which is mostly everyone, everywhere anyway, is picking up on your sexual vibe, and they're all getting horny. Is that a bad thing? Yes. Because it doesn't, no, it's not a bad thing. It's a really good thing. Then what happens? You're never going to find anyone who likes you for the rest of your chakras, your higher chakras. They're not going to like you for your heart. They're not going to like you for what you can say. They're not going to like you for what you can see. And they're not going to like you for your soul connection. All they're thinking about is your lower private parts. He's got a cute tushy or something. It's very shallow. So you're attracting a shallow people. Should I wear this t-shirt? I rarely wear this t-shirt. I'm terribly sorry. But if you're going out there, and I've seen people just this past week wearing Halloween costumes that are very sexually suggestive. Someone said, oh, I'm a nurse. It was a female someone. She was dressed like a whore. It's Halloween week, and I don't know. Why is it for Halloween you want to get dressed up like a whore? Fishnet stockings and, showing off your cleavage, bright red lipstick, black, a lot of black, black and red together says whore. Why do you want to be a whore for Halloween? I don't know. Maybe it's Halloween and you want to look like... It's still not a good idea. It's not a good idea because you'll always be remembered as someone who dresses like a whore. No, they're not going to remember it. If you want it to be Halloween, put on all kinds of makeup, make yourself look like a ghoul or something so they can't recognize your face. So much makeup that, your eyes are... No one knows who you are. Best thing, or a mask. Best thing, no one knows who you are. Then you can have fun behind the mask. But, if you go out looking like a whore, people look at you and they're always going to remember this person somehow. I know they're dressed now like a school marm, but Halloween, they're going to forget it was Halloween. They're just going to have this picture of you dressed like a whore. And how are you going to get rid of that image? You're never going to get rid of that image. Is it funny? If you're a comic, it'd be really funny. It'd be super funny because you're going to be able to say, well, You could say, on Halloween, I get dressed up like a whore every Halloween, and you can make a big laugh out of it. And if you're known as a comic, you're a very funny person, and the rest of the time you don't dress like a whore, you could really have a good time with it. But the problem is most people aren't like that. They're all about image, and all about image. Image, 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 and don't go to a company function dressed like a whore. A male whore? What does a male whore look like? Too tight pants showing all your junk. Showing too much skin. Showing off too many tattoos. I mean, what's tasteful? Well, I mean, let's not talk about Halloween. It's just your body language. Is there something wrong with being flirty at work? Yes. Don't flirt at work, ever. And especially if you go to a company party, don't drink booze at a company party, ever. The problem is companies quite often want you to drink booze. Plenty of times I was taken out by different bosses, and they served enormous quantities of alcohol. It was very old school. You know, I'm an old man. But back in the day when I was a young person, boozing was the national sport of every country on the planet. And corporate-sponsored boozy events were notorious. Notorious. You know, the company is paying for booze, or your boss or your senior, you know, the vice president is calling you over to the bar. And he said, we're doing shots. Are you going to say no to the vice president? Unfortunately, what happens? You always regret it. Sometimes they make you work the next day and you're hungover. That was horrible. Happened. But I think they're trying to get you to loosen up and become kind of frenzy with the other people. Not you get in a frenzy, but be friends with other people, your coworkers. The problem is you spend so much time at work that sometimes it's nice to have friends because you don't have any time otherwise to meet people and be social with. So that's the whole problem with corporations, is you spend too much time there. Too much time at work, not enough time meeting other people. Anyway, what else can I talk about? Okay, so for these other things, I want you to watch out for armor-plated people. This is a card in the Osho Zen Tarot where someone is wearing, they're like a knight in armor. And all the armor has got proximity buttons on it. You get close to them and the armor is that exploding kind of armor. So you push any button on their armored suit and they explode. What kind of explosion? Toxic energy. Okay, the last thing I want to talk to you about is if you are a young person and you're going to take some course at a college or a university and there's a co-op to it, don't do co-op. I've done the co-op things, and instead of co-op, it's better to take an express course. Try and get the course done as fast as you can. Co-ops make you take extra long time, and the quality of your work experience is the shits. They use you to count paper clips, regardless of how much education you've got and how much really good information you've got. I mean, theoretically, what should happen is if you're working as a co-op student, you should be working for the president of the corporation, because the information you got is the best available information from the college or university. And if you're working with the president's been out of school forever, or a lot of them never went to university or college ever. So they don't have any good information. So that's what should happen if you are a college student. You should be working with the most senior people. But they don't do that. They put you with the rank and file. And those people, they know what jobs they like to do, and they know what jobs they don't like to do, and they always stick you with the shitty jobs that don't give you any good experience. So at the end, even though you might have worked at XYZ place, um, you didn't get any good experience. All you got is a bad taste in your mouth for corporations. So don't do co-ops. It's not good. If someone needs some experience, I don't know. Don't bother. Get the course done. Get a good grade. Get to know your teachers, your professors. Get to know them as much as you can. That is, they don't tell you that. But if you can spend as much time going to the professor's office so that they know who you are, go there every day. Every day, stop in at your professor's office and go in and sit down and make yourself known. Because your professor, if they know you, will be a very good resource person as a reference person. No one is better for you getting a job than someone who taught you and knows you inside and out. So don't be afraid to talk about what you're like outside of school. Become that person's intimate person. I did a TA job, a teaching assistant job, for a whole semester for a professor. I saw the professor every time because the professor had me marking the tests and making the tests. And, you know, so I thought the professor knew me. And I asked the professor later on, like 8 months later, for a reference. The professor said, I don't know who you are. I was your teaching assistant. I was in your office. I didn't spend enough time with this professor to make an impact. So it's not good enough to just be there. You have to be right there so they are your friend. That's a big difference. And no one told me this. No one told me any of this information when I was going to school. Totally walking around blind. And there were some students who would spend time with the professors, and I listened to the wrong advice. It was other students that said, oh, they're brown-nosing the teacher. You know what brown-nosing is? Well, ignore those people. Go brown-nose as much as you can. Do it. Those teachers, if maybe they're going to give you a better mark if you're doing an essay question because they know you. But you're going to get a good reference from them. And if you're going to go to graduate school or take another course and they have a chance to pick, they're going to pick you because they know you and they like you. Unless they don't like you. Make sure they like you. How are you going to do that? Be likable. How are you going to make them think you're likable? Be well-rounded. Don't only know about their subject that they're teaching. In other words, if you're not even at college level yet and you're in high school, read lots of books, not about that stuff that you learn at school. Read lots of different kinds of, not fiction. Read biography books. Any biography, doesn't matter. Just go and pick one off the shelf. There's so many biographies. Go pick them up. What else? I always like Raising Your Consciousness books. So self-help books are really good. And when I was young, I don't know, there was a really weird vibe that self-help books were like, don't be buying self-help books. Where would I get that information from? They were really good. They're really good books, self-help books. Somehow I had the feeling, don't know where I got the vibe from, that you would be a jerk or frowned upon if you were reading self-help books. I don't know where I got this vibe from, but I had it. I never picked these up. I'd see them at the library or I'd see them at the bookstore and I'd walk right past. Somewhere I was getting a vibe that this was not a good thing to read, and it was a mistake. So a good thing to read, self-help, absolutely. What else are good to read? Psychology books are very good to read. And you can read old psychology books. I think they're better than the new ones. How old? Um, 1902. If you can find a psychology book from 1902, it's going to be better than a modern book. Why? In 1902, they were actually doing research in psychology. Today, they don't do any research. They refer to the textbook, and the textbooks are generally useful. Okay, they're useful, but they don't get into the meat and potatoes about what were people thinking when they were first researching psychology. If you go way back to ancient philosophy is a good thing to read, and I never read philosophy. Why didn't I read philosophy? Um, there was none in the house. There was none in the house, and I had no one in my house even knew anything about philosophy. So the quality of the teachers that I had, English teachers were among the best teachers I had in high school. They seemed to have a very broad view, and they had excellent books they had us reading. And we didn't know at the time, but compared to a lot of the other stuff, the English teachers were very good. And because it touched on a lot of stuff that, well, back in my day, they pigeonholed you. I mean, you're a science person, so don't do anything humanities. That's wrong. And they had a course when I went to university called Arts and Science, and I should have taken it, but no one. Guidance counseling was a big flunk at my high school. There was three of them, and completely useless, and each one of them was making a really good salary. So the whole department, I got nothing good from them. And as far as the other teachers, I think teachers should be more involved with helping students choose what to do if they're going to go off to college or university or some other kind of training program. I don't think teachers do that at all. They never did then. Teachers should get more involved because quite often what happens, well, it's going to be your parents, and their parents are useless because they want to send you into something that they wanted to do but they didn't get to do. Nothing to do with your talents. So, no, never listen to your parents. Never listen to your parents. So I guess that's all for now.